What was the name of the oil tanker wrecked off the Isles of Scilly in 1967? Torrey Canyon. The Torrey Canyon was a supertanker that ran aground between the Isles of Scilly and Cornwall in March 1967, causing a massive oil spill. This disaster was one of the world's first major oil spills and led to significant advancements in international maritime pollution regulations and cleanup techniques. Homo naledi, an early hominin species, was discovered in which African country? South Africa. Homo naledi is an extinct species of hominin, discovered in 2013 in the Rising Star Cave System, Cradle of Humankind World Heritage Site, South Africa. This significant find provides valuable insights into human evolution, showing a unique combination of primitive and advanced features. What is the common term for the sleeping disorder pavor nocturnus? Night, sleep terror. Pavor nocturnus, commonly known as night terror or sleep terror, is a parasomnia characterized by extreme fright and a temporary inability to regain full consciousness from sleep. Unlike nightmares, individuals typically have no memory of the event upon waking. Which bird is traditionally believed to have attempted to free Jesus from the cross? Crossbill. The crossbill is a bird often associated with various Christian legends, including the tradition that it attempted to free Jesus from the cross. According to this folklore, the bird's beak became crossed and its feathers stained with blood during its efforts, symbolizing its compassion and sacrifice. Which psalm in the Bible begins with the words, "The Lord is my shepherd"? 23. Psalm chapter 23, often referred to as, "The Lord is my shepherd," is one of the most widely known and quoted psalms in the Bible. It expresses themes of divine care, guidance, and comfort, offering solace and reassurance to believers. Its powerful imagery and message have made it a significant piece of religious literature. Which battle, fought in 1746, was the last on British soil? Culloden. The Battle of Culloden, fought on April 16, 1746, was the final confrontation of the Jacobite Rising of 1745. It marked a decisive defeat for the Jacobite forces under Charles Edward Stuart by the British government troops, effectively ending the Jacobite cause and becoming the last pitched battle fought on British soil. Which 1715 battle was the last fought on English soil? Preston. The Battle of Preston in 1715 was a significant engagement during the Jacobite Rising, fought between government forces and Jacobite rebels. It holds historical importance as the last battle to have taken place on English soil. Who, at Dettingen in 1743, became the last king of England to lead his troops in battle? George II. King George II famously led his British, Hanoverian, and Austrian troops at the Battle of Dettingen in 1743 during the War of the Austrian Succession. This event solidified his place in history as the last British monarch to personally lead an army into battle. After which extensive region of Europe is a rare but distinct local species of lynx named? Iberia. The Iberian lynx, Lynx pardinus, is a critically endangered wild cat species exclusively found on the Iberian Peninsula in southwestern Europe. It is highly adapted to its local environment and is a key indicator species for the health of Mediterranean ecosystems. Of which aluminium oxide mineral are ruby and sapphire among the colored varieties? Corundum. Corundum is a crystalline form of aluminium oxide, and is one of the hardest minerals after diamond. Rubies are the red variety, colored by chromium, while sapphires encompass all other gem quality colors, typically due to iron and titanium impurities. After which famous Venetian is Venice's international airport named? Marco Polo. Venice Marco Polo Airport, VCE, is named after the renowned Venetian merchant and explorer, Marco Polo, circa 1254 to 1324. His travels to Asia, documented in The Travels of Marco Polo, significantly contributed to European knowledge of the East. What distinguishes journeys in traghetti from those in other boats for hire in Venice? Across canals or equivalent. Traghetti are traditional Venetian gondolas that serve as public transport, specifically for short crossing of the Grand Canal at points without bridges. Unlike tourist gondolas, they offer a quick and inexpensive way for locals and visitors to traverse the city's main waterway. To which U.S. state is the Green Mountains section of the Appalachians confined? Vermont. The Green Mountains are a mountain range in Vermont, part of the larger Appalachian mountain system. They extend roughly 250 miles north to south through the state and are a significant geographical feature of Vermont. Which insect's larva is colloquially called a leather jacket? Crane fly or daddy longlegs. A leather jacket is the larva of a crane fly, Tipulidae, known for its tough, leathery skin. These grubs can cause damage to lawns and agricultural crops by feeding on plant roots. Which romantic poet kept a Newfoundland called Boatswain? Lord George Byron. Lord Byron, a leading figure of the Romantic movement, was deeply devoted to his Newfoundland dog, Boatswain. Upon Boatswain's death in 1808, Byron erected an elaborate monument at Newstead Abbey and penned the famous epitaph to a dog. Which Asian island is shared between three separate sovereign states? Borneo. Borneo is the third largest island in the world, shared by three countries: Indonesia, Kalimantan, Malaysia, Sabah and Sarawak, and Brunei. This makes it a significant geopolitical entity in Southeast Asia. What is the term for the strong magnetism associated with cobalt, nickel and iron? Ferromagnetism. Ferromagnetism describes the strongest form of magnetism, where materials like iron, cobalt, and nickel can form permanent magnets or are strongly attracted to magnetic fields. This property is crucial for many technological applications, including data storage and electric motors. Who discovered electromagnetic induction, so facilitating the transformer and dynamo? Michael Faraday. Michael Faraday discovered electromagnetic induction in 1831, a fundamental principle linking electricity and magnetism. This discovery was crucial for the development of electric generators, dynamos, and transformers, enabling the efficient generation and transmission of electricity. In which city is the Pitt Rivers Museum? Oxford. The Pitt Rivers Museum is a renowned ethnographic and archaeological museum located in Oxford, England. It houses an extensive collection of artifacts from various cultures worldwide, showcasing human ingenuity and cultural diversity. In what field did Erno Goldfinger, inspiration for the title Goldfinger, achieve eminence? Architecture. Erno Goldfinger was a prominent Hungarian-born British architect known for his pioneering work in brutalist architecture. His designs, particularly large-scale housing projects, significantly influenced urban landscapes in post-war Britain. Which cathedral is colloquially known as the Ship of the Fence? Ely Cathedral. Ely Cathedral, located in Cambridgeshire, England, is a magnificent example of Norman and Gothic architecture. Its distinctive shape and prominent position in the flat fenland landscape led to its popular nickname, the Ship of the Fence. Which cathedral is known as the Ladies of the Vale, due to its spires? Lichfield Cathedral. Lichfield Cathedral, situated in Staffordshire, England, is unique among English cathedrals for having three spires. These elegant spires, along with its prominent location in the Trent Valley, gave rise to its poetic nickname, the Ladies of the Vale. To which famously ruthless historical figure, depicted as a child, does Shakespeare's Richard III compare himself? Niccolò Machiavelli. In Shakespeare's Richard III, the protagonist, known for his Machiavellian tactics, alludes to the philosopher Niccolò Machiavelli. Machiavelli's writings on political theory describe pragmatic and often ruthless methods for acquiring and maintaining power, reflecting Richard's own cunning and immoral nature. Which king of England met his demise after falling from his horse, Sorrel? William III. William III, also known as William of Orange, died in 1702 after a fall from his horse, Sorrel, in Richmond Park. This accident exacerbated existing health conditions, leading to his death and the subsequent succession of Anne, Queen of Great Britain. Which major inlet along the British coastline experiences Europe's greatest tidal ranges? The Bristol Channel. The Bristol Channel, separating South Wales from southwest England, is renowned for having the second highest tidal range in the world, surpassed only by Canada's Bay of Fundy. Its funnel shape and shallow waters contribute to exceptional tidal bores, with ranges often exceeding 15 meters. Which specific feature on the River Thames denotes the upper limit of its tidal waters? Teddington Lock. Teddington Lock, located in southwest London, is the farthest downstream lock and weir on the River Thames. It serves as the official boundary between the non-tidal freshwater section of the river upstream and the tidal section that flows towards the North Sea. In ecology, what is the rectangular frame laid on the ground to define an area for study? Quadrat. A quadrat is a frame, traditionally square or rectangular, used in ecology and biology to isolate a standard area for study of an ecological population. It helps in the quantitative sampling of plants and sessile animals, allowing for density and distribution measurements. Of what geographical feature is a growler a miniature version? Iceberg or ice floe. A growler is a piece of ice smaller than a burgee bit, typically less than 1 meter, 3 feet, high and less than 5 meters, 16 feet, long. It is essentially a small fragment of an iceberg or ice floe, barely visible above the water surface, making it a significant navigation hazard. Which organization occupies Vauxhall Cross, also known as Legoland, on the Thames South Bank? MI6 Assist. Vauxhall Cross House, also known as Legoland due to its distinctive architecture, is the headquarters of the Secret Intelligence Service, SIS, commonly known as MI6. Located on the south bank of the River Thames in London, it is the UK's foreign intelligence agency responsible for intelligence gathering abroad. What is the term describing the type of art which depicts scenes from everyday life? Genre painting or art. Genre painting is a style of art that depicts scenes from everyday life, often focusing on domestic settings, market scenes, parties, or other common activities. It gained prominence in the 17th century, particularly in Dutch Golden Age painting, offering insights into societal norms and daily routines. What is the term in India for one who drives and keeps a working elephant? Mahout. A mahout is a person who drives and tends to an elephant, primarily in parts of Asia, especially India. This occupation involves a deep understanding of elephant behavior, training, and care, often passed down through generations within specific communities. What is the term in Canada for one who drives a dog sled? Musher. A musher is an individual who drives a dog sled, a common activity in Arctic regions, particularly Canada and Alaska. Mushing involves commanding a team of dogs to pull a sled over snow and ice, used for transport, racing, and recreation. Which region's name is Persian for 5 waters, alluding to 5 tributaries of the Indus? Punjab. The name, Punjab, is derived from 2 Persian words, Punj, 5, and ab, water, literally meaning 5 waters. This refers to the 5 major tributaries of the Indus River that flow through the region: Jhelum, Chenab, Ravi, Satluj, and Beas, which have historically shaped its geography and culture. Which northern English city incorporates 5 river valleys and by tradition 7 hills? Sheffield. Sheffield, a city in South Yorkshire, England, is known for its unique topography, being built on 7 hills and surrounded by 5 river valleys. The rivers Don, Sheaf, Rivellon, Loxley, and Potter converge within the city, contributing to its lush green landscape and historical industrial development. Which prizes does Harvard award annually for trivial achievements in scientific research? Ig Nobel Prizes. The Ig Nobel Prizes are parodies of the Nobel Prizes, awarded annually for scientific research that first makes people laugh and then makes them think. They aim to celebrate the unusual, honor the imaginative, and stimulate people's interest in science, medicine, and technology. What name specifically describes an inhabitant of Galway? Galwegian. A Galwegian is the demonym for an inhabitant of Galway, a city in County Galway, Ireland. Demonyms are names used for residents of a particular place, often derived from the place name itself. Which language gave English the word kahuna, as in, the big kahuna? Hawaiian. The word kahuna originates from the Hawaiian language, where it traditionally refers to a priest, expert, or master of a particular profession. In English, it gained popularity, particularly through surf culture, to mean an important or influential person, as in, the big kahuna. Which metallic element is the essential additive to steel when making stainless steel? Chromium. Chromium is a hard, shiny, corrosion-resistant metallic element essential for producing stainless steel. It forms a passive layer of chromium oxide on the steel surface, which provides excellent resistance to rust and corrosion, making stainless steel highly durable and widely used. The Appalachian and hammered are two types of which traditional musical instrument? Dulcimer. The dulcimer is a stringed musical instrument, with two main types: the Appalachian dulcimer, or mountain dulcimer, typically strummed or plucked, and the hammered dulcimer, played by striking its strings with mallets. Both are traditional folk instruments with distinct sounds and playing styles. Name either of the British cities which boasts both a Central and a Queen Street station. Glasgow or Cardiff. Both Glasgow, Scotland, and Cardiff, Wales, are major British cities that feature both a Central and a Queen Street railway station. These names are common for significant transport hubs, with Central often indicating the primary station and Queen Street typically named after a prominent street. In which field was Mary Stopes, 1880 to 1958, a pioneer? Birth control. Mary Stopes was a British paleobotanist, campaigner for women's rights, and a pioneer in the field of birth control. She founded the first birth control clinic in Britain in 1921, advocating for women's reproductive autonomy and providing information on contraception. Her work significantly impacted public health and women's rights in the early 20th century. What do Argentinians call what is known as the Falkland Islands? Las Malvinas. The Falkland Islands are a remote archipelago in the South Atlantic Ocean, a British overseas territory. Argentina claims sovereignty over the islands, referring to them as Las Islas Malvinas, a dispute that led to the Falklands War in 1982. This territorial claim remains a significant point of contention in Anglo-Argentinian relations. What is the most common alternative name for the gnu? Wildebeest. The gnu, also widely known as the wildebeest, is an antelope native to eastern and southern Africa. There are two main species, the black wildebeest and the blue wildebeest, both famous for their large annual migrations across the plains. These migrations are a critical ecological event, supporting many predators and shaping grassland ecosystems. At which park did Yeats feel moved to write a poem about the wild swans? Coole Park. William Butler Yeats, a prominent Irish poet and a central figure in the literary revival, wrote The Wild Swans at Coole. This poem reflects on the passage of time and the unchanging beauty of nature, set in Coole Park, County Galway, the estate of his patron Lady Gregory. Coole Park was a significant meeting place for figures of the Irish literary revival. Who wrote the 1969 novel, The Godfather? Mario Puzo. Mario Puzo was an American author and screenwriter, best known for his crime novels about the mafia. His 1969 novel, The Godfather, became one of the best-selling books in history and was famously adapted into an Academy Award-winning film directed by Francis Ford Coppola. The book and film together had a profound impact on popular culture's perception of organized crime. Which idiomatic phrase, meaning, very drunk, originates from nautical terminology? 3 sheets to the wind. The phrase, 3 sheets to the wind, describes a state of extreme inebriation. Its origin lies in nautical terminology, where sheets refer to the ropes or lines used to control a sail. If these sheets are loose and flapping in the wind, the sail, and thus the ship, becomes unstable and difficult to control, metaphorically linking this instability to the unsteadiness of a severely intoxicated person. In 1979, where in Pennsylvania was there a partial nuclear meltdown accident? 3 Mile Island. The 3 Mile Island accident was a partial nuclear meltdown that occurred on March 28, 1979, in Dauphin County, Pennsylvania. It was the most significant accident in U.S. commercial nuclear power plant history, leading to increased safety regulations and public opposition to nuclear power. What element is third in the periodic table of the elements, after hydrogen and helium? Lithium. Lithium, Li, is an alkali metal with atomic number 3, making it the third element in the periodic table. It is highly reactive and is used in rechargeable batteries, ceramics, and certain medications. In 1973, Britain joined the European Economic Community at the same time as Ireland and which other country? Denmark. In 1973, the United Kingdom, Ireland, and Denmark officially joined the European Economic Community, EEC, which later evolved into the European Union. This marked the first major expansion of the EEC beyond its original 6 founding members. In which year was the Maastricht Treaty signed? It came into force a year later. 1992. The Maastricht Treaty, formerly known as the Treaty on European Union, was signed in 1992 and came into force in 1993. It established the European Union, laid the groundwork for the euro, and created the 3 pillars of the EU, the European Communities, Common Foreign and Security Policy, and Justice and Home Affairs. Frederick Delius was born in 1862 in which country? England, UK. Frederick Delius was a prominent English composer known for his distinctive orchestral and choral works. His music is often characterized by its lush harmonies, evocative melodies, and impressionistic style, reflecting the natural landscapes and emotional states of his native England. Who composed Finlandia, 1899, and the Karelia Suite, c. 1893? Jean Sibelius. Jean Sibelius was a Finnish composer of the late Romantic and early modern periods, widely regarded as Finland's greatest composer. His works like Finlandia and the Karelia Suite are deeply nationalistic and are central to the classical music repertoire. Bedřich was the first name of which Czech composer, 1824 to 1884? Smetana. Bedřich Smetana was a renowned Czech composer who pioneered the development of a distinctly Czech national style of music. His most famous works include the opera, The Battered Bride, and the symphonic cycle, Má vlast, featuring the iconic Vltava. In which month did Browning long to be in England, in Home Thoughts from Abroad? April. Robert Browning's famous poem, Home Thoughts from Abroad, expresses a poignant longing for England's spring beauty while the speaker is in Italy. The poem vividly describes the English countryside in April, associating the month with renewed life and natural splendor. In the name of the unpleasant bacterium C. difficile, what does the C represent? Clostridium. Clostridioides difficile, commonly known as C. difficile, is a bacterium that can cause severe diarrhea and colitis. It is a significant healthcare-associated infection, and understanding its full genus name is relevant in microbiology. Which 10-letter word means cave dweller? Troglodyte. A troglodyte refers to a person or animal that lives in a cave, often implying a primitive or secluded existence. Historically, early humans were considered troglodytes before developing more complex shelters. Which scientist was offered the presidency of Israel? Albert Einstein. Albert Einstein, a renowned theoretical physicist, was offered the presidency of Israel in 1952 by Prime Minister David Ben-Gurion. Einstein, a pacifist and committed Zionist, politely declined the offer, stating he lacked the necessary experience and temperament for such a role. Somaliland and Eritrea were both colonized by which European nation? Italy. Somaliland, now part of Somalia, and Eritrea were both significant parts of Italian colonial ventures in East Africa during the late 19th and early 20th centuries. Italy established its presence in the region, leading to conflicts and eventually forming Italian East Africa. Lemurs in the wild are unique to which country? Madagascar. Lemurs are primates endemic to the island of Madagascar, off the southeast coast of Africa. Their isolation on the island has led to a remarkable diversification into over 100 species, making Madagascar a global biodiversity hotspot. To within 1 year either way, when was the last judicial hanging in Great Britain? 1964. The last judicial execution in Great Britain took place in 1964, when Peter Allen and Gwyn Evans were hanged for murder. Capital punishment was effectively abolished for murder in 1965, though it remained theoretically possible for treason until 1998. The koipu, or nutria, was originally native to which continent? South America. The koipu, also known as nutria, is a large, semi-aquatic rodent native to wetlands of temperate South America. It has been introduced to other continents for fur farming and has since become an invasive species in many regions, causing significant ecological damage. Sometimes called a beaver dam, what is the more customary name for a beaver's home? Lodge. A beaver's home is typically called a lodge, a dome-shaped structure built from sticks, mud, and rocks, often in the middle of a pond or along a riverbank. Beavers construct these lodges for shelter, protection from predators, and to raise their young. In which decade of the 20th century did the first Academy Award ceremony take place? 1920s. The first Academy Award ceremony, also known as the Oscars, took place on May 16, 1929, covering films released in 1927 and 1928. This event established a precedent for annual recognition of cinematic achievements and marked a significant milestone in Hollywood history. In 1520, what was the name given to the meeting held between Henry VIII of England and Francis I of France? The Field of the Cloth of Gold. The Field of the Cloth of Gold was a lavish diplomatic summit held in June 1520 between King Henry VIII of England and King Francis I of France. This meeting aimed to strengthen the alliance between the two kingdoms and showcase their respective power and wealth through extravagant displays and festivities. By what title was British Prime Minister Robert Banks Jenkinson otherwise known? Earl of Liverpool. Robert Banks Jenkinson, the second Earl of Liverpool, served as Prime Minister of the United Kingdom from 1812 to 1827, making him one of the longest-serving Prime Ministers. His premiership saw significant post-Napoleonic War reforms and domestic challenges. Seven Pillars of Wisdom was published in 1922. Who was the author? T. E. Lawrence. Seven Pillars of Wisdom is the autobiographical account by T. E. Lawrence, Lawrence of Arabia, of his experiences during the Arab revolt against the Ottoman Empire in World War I, published in 1922. It is considered a classic of war literature and a valuable historical document. What is the capital of Malawi? Lilongwe. Lilongwe is the capital and largest city of Malawi, located in the central region of the country. It serves as the political and economic hub of Malawi, housing the country's government and major administrative offices. What is the capital city of Gambia? Banjul. Banjul is the capital city of the Gambia, situated on St. Mary's Island where the Gambia River meets the Atlantic Ocean. It is the country's economic and administrative center, despite being one of Africa's smallest capital cities. What is the name for the parliament on the Isle of Man? The Tynwald. The Tynwald is the parliament of the Isle of Man, renowned as one of the oldest continuously existing parliaments globally, with roots tracing back to the 10th century. It consists of two branches, the House of Keys and the Legislative Council. Who was the first poet to be buried in Poets' Corner, Westminster Abbey? Chaucer. Geoffrey Chaucer, a prominent English poet known for the Canterbury Tales, was the first poet to be buried in what is now known as Poets' Corner in Westminster Abbey. His burial in 1400 established a tradition for honoring literary figures. An ossuary is a room or container in which what are kept? Bones. An ossuary is a chest, building, well, or site made to serve as the final resting place of human skeletal remains. They are used in places where burial space is scarce, often reflecting historical or religious practices, such as the famous catacombs of Paris. What significant milestone did Pioneer 10 achieve in 1983? It became the first man-made object to leave the solar system. Pioneer 10, launched in 1972 by NASA, was a robotic space probe designed to study the outer solar system. In 1983, it crossed the orbit of Neptune, then considered the outermost planet, thus becoming the first man-made object to achieve escape velocity from the solar system. This mission provided unprecedented data and images, particularly of Jupiter. What significant achievement did Salyut 1 represent in 1971? It was the world's first space station. Salyut 1 was launched by the Soviet Union on April 19, 1971, marking a monumental achievement in space exploration. It was the world's first space station and was designed for scientific research and testing long-duration human spaceflight capabilities. The mission was a crucial step in the development of orbital outposts. What is the popular name for Mozart's Divertimento in G for strings? Eine kleine Nachtmusik. Eine kleine Nachtmusik, A Little Night Music, is one of Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart's most famous compositions, a serenade for strings. It was completed in 1787 and remains a quintessential example of classical chamber music, widely performed and studied. Who served as Britain's Defence Secretary during the Falklands War? John Knott. John Knott was the Secretary of State for Defence in the UK under Prime Minister Margaret Thatcher during the Falklands War in 1982. He played a crucial role in the strategic decisions and military operations that led to the successful recapture of the Falkland Islands. In which iconic location did German teenager Matthias Rust land his small plane in 1987? Red Square. In 1987, Matthias Rust, a West German amateur pilot, landed his Cessna 172 aircraft in Moscow's Red Square, evading Soviet air defenses. This audacious act caused a major scandal in the Soviet Union, highlighting vulnerabilities in Soviet security and leading to the dismissal of top military officials. Who designed the cenotaph in London? Sir Edwin Lutyens. The cenotaph in London, designed by Sir Edwin Lutyens, is Britain's primary national war memorial. Unveiled in 1920, it commemorates the dead of both world wars and subsequent conflicts, serving as a focal point for national remembrance ceremonies. Cerulean is a shade of which color? Blue. Cerulean is a deep sky blue color, often described as an azure or bright blue. The name is derived from the Latin word, caeruleus, meaning dark blue, blue, or bluish-green. What is murg in Indian cuisine? Chicken. Murg is the Hindi, Urdu word for chicken, widely used in Indian and Pakistani cuisine to refer to dishes made with chicken. It is a common term in South Asian culinary vocabulary. Who became the Royal Ballet's youngest principal dancer in 1989 at the age of 20? Darcy Bussell. Darcy Bussell is a highly acclaimed British ballerina, known for her expressive style and significant career at the Royal Ballet. Her appointment as principal dancer at a young age marked her as a prodigy in the world of classical ballet. Which Caribbean island group has a name derived from a reptile? Cayman Islands. The Cayman Islands are British overseas territory in the Western Caribbean Sea. Their name is believed to derive from a Carib word, cayman, referring to the marine crocodiles found there by early European explorers. Who were the ascetics known for living atop pillars or columns? Stylites. Stylites were a type of Christian ascetic, particularly prominent in early Byzantine Christianity, who stood on pillars preaching, fasting, and praying. This extreme form of asceticism was practiced as a way to withdraw from the world and dedicate oneself to spiritual devotion. Aneromancy is the divination of what? Dreams. Aneromancy is a form of divination based upon dreams, interpreting their symbols and narratives to predict future events or gain insight. The term is derived from the Greek words, aneros, dream, and mantia, divination. Which Greek philosopher was known for living in a tub? Diogenes. Diogenes of Sinope was a central figure in the Cynic philosophy movement in ancient Greece. He famously lived an extremely austere life, rejecting conventional societal norms and possessions, and is often depicted as living in a large ceramic tub or barrel. Mr. Elton, a vicar, is a character in which Jane Austen novel? Emma. Mr. Philip Elton is a prominent character in Jane Austen's novel Emma *, published in 1815. He is the young, initially charming but ultimately opportunistic vicar of Highbury, who plays a significant role in the novel's romantic entanglements and social satire. Operation Torch was the code name for the 1942 Allied landings in which region? North Africa. Operation Torch was the Anglo-American invasion of French North Africa during World War II, launched on November 8, 1942. It was a crucial campaign that opened a second front against the Axis powers and aimed to secure Allied control of the Mediterranean. In which conflict did the Battle of Pork Chop Hill take place? Korean War. The Battle of Pork Chop Hill refers to two major infantry engagements during the Korean War in April and July 1953. These battles were characterized by intense fighting for strategic hills and became symbolic of the brutal trench warfare that marked the final stages of the conflict. Which country's railway system is known as Renfe? Spain. Renfe, Red Nacional de los Ferrocarriles Españoles, is the state-owned railway company of Spain. It operates a wide network of passenger and freight services, playing a crucial role in the country's public transport and logistics. The Gegs are an ethnic group primarily associated with which European country? Albania. The Gegs, or Gegs, constitute one of the two major Albanian ethnic subgroups, predominantly residing in northern Albania, Kosovo, and parts of North Macedonia. They are distinguished by their cultural practices and a distinct dialect of the Albanian language. In which country are the Harz Mountains located? Germany. The Harz Mountains are the highest mountain range in northern Germany, spanning parts of Lower Saxony, Saxony-Anhalt, and Thuringia. This region is renowned for its dense forests, historic towns, and is a popular destination for hiking and winter sports. What is the capital city of Azerbaijan? Baku. Baku is the capital and largest city of Azerbaijan, strategically located on the western coast of the Caspian Sea. It serves as a major economic, political, and cultural hub, notable for its historic inner city, a UNESCO World Heritage Site, and its modern architectural landmarks. Which African country is regarded as the spiritual homeland of Rastafarianism? Ethiopia. Ethiopia is revered as the spiritual home of Rastafarianism, primarily due to the veneration of Emperor Haile Selassie I, whom Rastafarians regard as a divine figure and the returned Messiah. This spiritual connection is central to the Rastafari faith, which originated in Jamaica in the 1930s. What are the three types of chemical matter besides element and mixture? Compound. Matter can be classified into pure substances, elements and compounds, and mixtures. An element is a pure substance consisting of only one type of atom, while a compound is formed when two or more different elements are chemically bonded together. What is the SI unit of luminous intensity? Candela. The candela, CD, is the SI base unit of luminous intensity, which measures the luminous power per unit solid angle in a particular direction. It is one of the 7 base units in the International System of Units. Which modern currency is derived from the old European coin, the thaler? Dollar. The word dollar is derived from thaler, a large silver coin minted in Europe from the 16th to the 19th centuries. The Spanish dollar, in particular, was widely used in the Americas and Asia, influencing the adoption of the term for many modern currencies. Before adopting the euro, which country's currency was the marka? Finland. The Finnish marka, FIM, was the official currency of Finland from 1860 until it was replaced by the euro in 2002. Finland was one of the 12 initial countries to adopt the euro as its official currency. On which peninsula are the Mumbles situated? Goa Peninsula. The Mumbles is a village and community situated at the western end of Swansea Bay, on the southeast corner of the Goa Peninsula in Wales, UK. The Goa Peninsula itself is a designated area of outstanding natural beauty. In which national park are the Black Mountains located? Brecon Beacons. The Black Mountains are a group of hills in the east of the Brecon Beacons National Park in Wales, UK. This national park is known for its distinctive landscapes, including mountains, moorlands, and waterfalls, and is a significant area for conservation and recreation. Which is the nearest town to Ben Nevis? Fort William. Ben Nevis is the highest mountain in the British Isles, located in Scotland. Fort William serves as a major tourist hub and is the closest large town, often considered the outdoor capital of the UK, due to its proximity to Ben Nevis and other Highlands attractions. Apart from the Bolshoi, which is Russia's other famous touring ballet company, Kirov. The Kirov Ballet, now officially known as the Mariinsky Ballet, is one of the world's most renowned classical ballet companies, based in St. Petersburg, Russia. It shares prominence with the Bolshoi Ballet in Moscow, both having produced legendary dancers and preserved the traditions of Russian ballet. Which English painter was the first president of the Royal Academy? Sir Joshua Reynolds. Sir Joshua Reynolds was a prominent 18th-century English portrait painter and a key figure in British art. He was instrumental in the founding of the Royal Academy of Arts in London in 1768 and served as its first president, greatly influencing the development of art education and practice in Britain. Which opera did Verdi supposedly compose for the opening of the Suez Canal? Aida. Giuseppe Verdi's opera, Aida, is a grand opera set in ancient Egypt, commissioned for the Khedivial Opera House in Cairo. Although often associated with the opening of the Suez Canal in 1869, it actually premiered in 1871, 2 years after the canal's inauguration, with its theme celebrating ancient Egyptian history. What was the name of his American mother? Jenny Jerome. This question refers to Jenny Jerome, the mother of Winston Churchill, a pivotal figure in 20th-century British and world history. An American socialite, her marriage to Lord Randolph Churchill connected her to a prominent British aristocratic family, providing Winston with a unique social and political upbringing. Upon which war did he report as a foreign correspondent for the Morning Post? Boer War. Before his political career took off, Winston Churchill gained considerable fame as a war correspondent during the Second Boer War, 1899–1902, in South Africa. His capture and daring escape from a Boer prisoner of war camp garnered significant public attention and boosted his public profile. For which constituency was he first elected to Parliament as a Unionist MP in 1900? Oldham. Winston Churchill began his long and distinguished political career by being elected as a Unionist Member of Parliament for the constituency of Oldham in 1900. This marked his entry into the House of Commons, where he would eventually serve for over 60 years, initially as a Conservative before famously crossing the floor to the Liberal Party. Which hormone is called epinephrine in the USA? Adrenaline. Adrenaline, also known as epinephrine, is a hormone and neurotransmitter produced by the adrenal glands and certain neurons. It plays a crucial role in the body's fight-or-flight response, increasing heart rate, blood pressure, and energy supply in stressful situations. The terms are often used interchangeably, with epinephrine being the preferred term in medical and scientific contexts in North America. The protein fibrin aids which process in the blood? Clotting. Fibrin is a key protein involved in the blood coagulation cascade, forming a meshwork that traps red blood cells and platelets to create a stable clot. This process is essential for hemostasis, preventing excessive blood loss after injury. What exactly is the crime of embracery? Bribing of a juror. Embracery is a common law offense involving the act of attempting to influence a jury's decision through improper means, such as bribery, promises, or threats. This crime directly undermines the integrity and impartiality of the judicial process. Which form of strangulation was for years the official method of execution in Spain? The garrote. The garrote was a method of capital punishment, primarily used in Spain, involving a device that strangled or broke the neck of the condemned. It served as the official method of execution in Spain for centuries, eventually being abolished in 1978. Who sailed round the world in the yacht Lively Lady? Alec Rose. Sir Alec Rose was a British amateur sailor renowned for his single-handed circumnavigation of the world in 1967-1968 aboard his ketch, Lively Lady. This extraordinary voyage solidified his place in the history of maritime exploration and personal endurance. To which Mediterranean island were UN peacekeepers sent in 1964? Cyprus. The United Nations Peacekeeping Force in Cyprus, UNFICYP, was established in March 1964 by UN Security Council Resolution 186. Its primary mandate is to prevent a recurrence of fighting between the Greek Cypriot and Turkish Cypriot communities and contribute to maintaining law and order on the island. What is the collective noun for kangaroos? Mob. A mob is the commonly used collective noun for a group of kangaroos. Kangaroos are large marsupials indigenous to Australia and Papua New Guinea, well known for their powerful hind legs and unique hopping method of locomotion. In which European capital is Bromma Airport? Stockholm. Bromma Airport is located in Stockholm, the capital city of Sweden. It serves as one of the major airports for the Stockholm area, primarily handling domestic flights and some general aviation. What is the collective noun for frogs? Army. An army is a collective noun often used to describe a group of frogs. Frogs are amphibians characterized by their moist skin, prominent eyes, and powerful legs adapted for jumping and swimming. Prince William adopted which title in 2011? Duke of Cambridge. Prince William was created Duke of Cambridge on April 29, 2011, the day of his marriage to Catherine Middleton. This ducal title is a traditional honor bestowed upon senior male members of the British royal family. Who was the second woman elected to the House of Commons? Nancy Astor. Nancy Astor was a prominent figure in British political history, becoming the first woman to take her seat as an MP in the House of Commons in 1919, representing Plymouth Sutton. Although Constance Markovich was elected earlier, she never took her seat. Mary of Modena was the second wife of which monarch? James II. Mary of Modena was an Italian princess who became the second wife of King James II of England, Scotland, and Ireland. Their marriage in 1673 was controversial due to her Catholic faith, which further fueled anti-Catholic sentiment leading up to the Glorious Revolution. In 1932, which record breaker was the second person to fly the Atlantic solo? Amelia Earhart. Amelia Earhart, a celebrated American aviation pioneer, became the second person and the first woman to fly solo across the Atlantic Ocean in May 1932. Her flight cemented her status as a leading figure in aviation history, following Charles Lindbergh's inaugural solo transatlantic flight in 1927. Which dictator moved into the Casa Rosada in June 1946? Juan Perón. Juan Perón, a pivotal figure in Argentine history, became president of Argentina in June 1946 and subsequently moved into the Casa Rosada, the official seat of executive power. His presidency marked the beginning of Peronism, a significant political movement that continues to influence the country's political landscape. Pope Gregory XI was the last pope to reside in which French city? Avignon. Pope Gregory XI was the seventh and last pope of the Avignon papacy, bringing an end to the nearly 70-year period during which the popes resided in Avignon, France, rather than Rome. He returned the papacy to Rome in 1377, shortly before his death. Adrian IV, the first English pope, was educated in which city named after the first English martyr? St. Albans. Adrian IV, originally Nicholas Breakspear, was the only English pope, reigning from 1154 to 1159. He received his early education near St. Albans, a city renowned for its abbey and as the traditional site of the martyrdom of St. Alban, believed to be Britain's first Christian martyr. Alexander Graham Bell discovered that which type of cabling mitigates electrical interference? Twisted pair. Alexander Graham Bell, renowned for inventing the telephone, also made significant contributions to understanding electrical interference. He discovered that twisting pairs of telephone wires together effectively reduced electromagnetic interference, a principle still fundamental to modern networking and telecommunications through twisted pair cabling. What type of marine invertebrate is commonly known as a medusa? Jellyfish. In zoology, medusa refers to the free-swimming, bell-shaped stage in the life cycle of certain cnidarians, such as jellyfish. This stage is characterized by a mouth on the underside, surrounded by tentacles, allowing for locomotion and prey capture. Which large, flightless bird of South America is named after a titan from Greek mythology? Rhea. The rhea is a large, flightless bird native to South America, resembling an ostrich or emu. It is named after Rhea, a titaness in Greek mythology, who was the mother of several Olympian gods. Which part of the human eye is named after Iris, the Greek goddess of the rainbow? Iris. The iris is the pigmented, muscular diaphragm in the eye that controls the size of the pupil and thus the amount of light reaching the retina. Its name comes from Iris, the Greek goddess of the rainbow, reflecting its varied colors and circular shape. Which Spanish queen provided crucial financial and political support for Christopher Columbus's expeditions across the Atlantic? Isabella I of Castile. Queen Isabella I of Castile, along with her husband King Ferdinand II of Aragon, sponsored Christopher Columbus's voyages starting in 1492. Her support was instrumental in enabling Columbus to undertake his exploratory journeys, which led to significant European contact with the Americas. Which traditional rice dish is widely considered the national dish of Spain, despite its regional origins in Valencia? Paella. Paella is a famous Spanish rice dish that originated in the Valencia region, traditionally prepared with rice, saffron, vegetables, and various meats or seafood. It has evolved into a global culinary symbol of Spain, though its authentic Valencian form often adheres to specific ingredients like rabbit and snails. Which disease, now known to be a virus, was first identified in Germany in 1814? Rubella. Rubella, also known as German measles, is a viral infection causing a rash and fever, posing serious risks to pregnant women and their unborn children. While first identified clinically in Germany in 1814, its viral nature was only confirmed much later, marking a step in understanding infectious diseases. The Gregorian calendar replaced which earlier calendar in Western Europe? Julian. The Gregorian calendar, introduced by Pope Gregory XIII in 1582, is the most widely adopted civil calendar worldwide. It superseded the Julian calendar, which had been in use since 45 BC, to correct accumulated errors in leap year calculations and better align with the tropical year. How was Lord Thomson travelling when he died at Beauvais in France in 1930? R101, airship. Lord Thomson, the British Secretary of State for Air, died in the catastrophic crash of the R101 airship near Beauvais, France, in October 1930. This disaster was a significant setback for British airship development and contributed to the eventual decline of rigid airships for passenger travel. In 1910, Leo Tolstoy died in what type of building? Railway station. Leo Tolstoy, the renowned Russian novelist famous for works like War and Peace, died at Astapovo railway station in 1910. He had recently left his home and family in search of a simpler, more ascetic life, reflecting his later philosophical and spiritual convictions. In 1812, who was shot while walking through the lobby of the House of Commons? Spencer Perceval. Spencer Perceval, the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, was assassinated in 1812 by John Bellingham in the lobby of the House of Commons. This remains the only assassination of a British Prime Minister in history, stemming from a personal grievance rather than political conspiracy. The sequoia trees of the Sierra Nevada are better known as what? Redwoods. The sequoia trees of the Sierra Nevada are commonly known as giant sequoias, Sequoiadendron giganteum, a specific type of redwood. These colossal trees are among the largest living organisms by volume on Earth, known for their immense size and longevity, often thousands of years old. When explaining the Doppler effect, which suffix follows the words red and blue? Shift. In physics, when explaining the Doppler effect, the suffixes shift follow red and blue, forming redshift and blueshift. These terms describe the change in the wavelength of light due to the relative motion between the source and the observer. Redshift indicates an object moving away, while blueshift indicates it is moving closer. Which French port shares its name with places in both Derby and Nottingham? Dunkirk. Dunkirk is a significant port city in northern France, historically renowned for the evacuation of Allied soldiers during World War II, known as Operation Dynamo. The namesakes in Derby and Nottingham likely serve as memorials or references to this pivotal event in global history. Which Chinese beer city of origin reflects its past as a German concession? Tsingtao. Tsingtao beer originates from Qingdao, China, a city that was a German leased territory from 1898 to 1914. During this period, the Germans established the brewery, introducing European brewing techniques and leaving a lasting legacy on the region's culture and economy. Who published a regular newspaper column from 1936 onwards? Eleanor Roosevelt. Eleanor Roosevelt, a highly influential First Lady, began publishing her syndicated newspaper column, My Day, in 1936. This platform allowed her to express her views on a wide range of social and political issues, making her a significant voice in American public life for many decades. Which industrialist, born in Wirksworth in 1803, opened Matlock Hydro in 1853? John Smedley. John Smedley was a prominent British industrialist and philanthropist known for establishing the world-renowned John Smedley knitwear factory. He also founded Matlock Bank Hydro in 1853, a significant hydropathic establishment that contributed to the health tourism industry in Derbyshire. Born in Denbigh in 1646, who was appointed the first Astronomer Royal? John Flamsteed. John Flamsteed, an English astronomer, was appointed the first Astronomer Royal in 1675 by King Charles II. He established the Royal Observatory at Greenwich and spent years meticulously mapping the stars, laying foundational work for navigation and celestial mechanics. Christian pilgrims to which Spanish city traditionally returned wearing a scallop shell in their headbands? Santiago de Compostela. Santiago de Compostela, located in Galicia, Spain, is the traditional endpoint of the Camino de Santiago, a renowned Christian pilgrimage route. Pilgrims traditionally wear or carry a scallop shell, scallop of Saint James, as a symbol of their journey, often attaching it to their clothing or staff. Traditionally, Muslim men returning from the Hajj pilgrimage wore turbans of which color? Green. In many Islamic traditions, particularly until recent times, Muslim men who had completed the Hajj pilgrimage to Makkah would wear green turbans as a symbol of their revered status as a Hajji. Green is considered the sacred color of Islam, often associated with paradise and the Prophet Muhammad. What is the common name for kiwi fruit in New Zealand? Chinese gooseberry. The kiwi fruit, originally from China, was introduced to New Zealand in the early 20th century and initially known as the Chinese gooseberry. It was later renamed kiwi fruit for marketing, referencing New Zealand's national bird. This common name reflects its historical origin before its popular rebranding. Based on their geographical origins, if satsumas are associated with Japan and mandarins with China, which citrus fruits are primarily associated with North Africa? Tangerines. Tangerines are a type of mandarin orange, known for their deep orange color and easy-to-peel skin. While believed to have originated in Southeast Asia, they derive their name from Tangier, Morocco, a major port from which they were first shipped to Europe and North America, establishing their historical link to North Africa. Any direct route from New York State to Wisconsin transects which Canadian province? Ontario. Geographically, a direct overland route between New York State and Wisconsin would logically pass through Canadian territory. The province of Ontario lies between these two U.S. states across the Great Lakes region, making it an unavoidable transit point for such a route. In 1886, Franz von Soxhlet suggested that which wine process could be applied to milk? Pasteurization. Franz von Soxhlet, a German agricultural chemist, proposed applying the pasteurization process to milk in 1886. This technique, originally developed by Louis Pasteur for wine, involves heating liquids to kill harmful microorganisms, significantly enhancing food safety and extending the shelf life of milk. A geophagist engages in which practice? Eats earth, clay. Geophagy is the practice of eating earth or soil-like substances such as clay or chalk. While sometimes culturally or spiritually significant in certain communities, it can also be a symptom of nutritional deficiencies, particularly iron, and is observed in certain eating disorders like pica. Paro was the largest moai successfully erected on which island? Easter Island. Paro was the largest moai, or monolithic human figure, successfully erected on Easter Island, Rapa Nui, standing approximately 10 meters tall. These iconic statues, carved by the Rapa Nui people between 1250 and 1500 CE, represent deified ancestors and are a testament to the island's rich ancient culture and engineering achievements. What is the third word of the motto adopted by France in 1946? Fraternity. The motto, liberty, equality, fraternity, liberty, equality, fraternity, was officially adopted as the national motto of France in 1946, following World War II. Originating during the French Revolution, these three words represent the core republican values of the French nation. On January 1, 2014, which country became the 18th member of the Eurozone? Latvia. Latvia adopted the euro as its national currency on January 1, 2014, becoming the 18th member of the Eurozone. This transition marked a significant step in the Baltic nations' integration into the European Union's economic and monetary system, demonstrating its adherence to strict convergence criteria. Bob Crow, who passed away in March 2014, was the leader of which trade union? RMT, National Union of Rail, Maritime and Transport Workers. Bob Crow was a prominent British trade union leader who served as the General Secretary of the RMT, National Union of Rail, Maritime and Transport Workers, from 2002 until his death in March 2014. He was known for his assertive advocacy for the rights of transport workers and his impact on industrial relations in the UK. What was the nationality of author Gabriel Garcia Marquez? Colombian. Gabriel Garcia Marquez was a Colombian novelist, short story writer, screenwriter, and journalist, widely considered one of the most significant authors of the 20th century. He was awarded the Nobel Prize in Literature in 1982 for his works like 100 Years of Solitude, which popularized the magical realism literary style. Which UK national newspaper was awarded a share in a Pulitzer Prize in 2014? The Guardian. The Guardian newspaper, based in the United Kingdom, shared the 2014 Pulitzer Prize for Public Service for its reporting on the National Security Agency mass surveillance programs, based on documents leaked by Edward Snowden. This award highlights significant achievements in journalism. Who was Joseph Stalin's immediate successor as Premier of the Soviet Union? Georgy Malenkov. Upon Joseph Stalin's death in March 1953, Georgy Malenkov initially served as Premier of the Soviet Union, making him Stalin's immediate successor in that role. However, his tenure was short-lived as power shifted, leading to Nikita Khrushchev's rise. Which island is known to the French as Oranie? Alderney. Alderney is the third largest of the Channel Islands, located in the English Channel, part of the bailiwick of Guernsey. Historically, due to its proximity and strategic importance, it has a strong connection with France, where it is known as Oranie. Helen Graham is the eponymous protagonist of which 19th century novel? The Tenant of Wildfell Hall. The Tenant of Wildfell Hall is a novel by Annie Bronte, published in 1848 under the pseudonym Acton Bell. It is considered one of the first sustained feminist novels, challenging Victorian social norms and depicting the struggles of its protagonist, Helen Graham, against an abusive marriage. Which restored castle in West Sussex is the seat of the Duke of Norfolk? Arundel Castle. Arundel Castle, located in West Sussex, England, is a medieval castle that has served as the ancestral seat of the Duke of Norfolk and his ancestors for over 850 years. The castle has undergone significant restoration over centuries and is a prominent historical and architectural landmark. The Brooklyn Bridge connects Brooklyn to which other New York borough? Manhattan. The Brooklyn Bridge is an iconic hybrid cable-stayed, suspension bridge in New York City, connecting the boroughs of Manhattan and Brooklyn. Completed in 1883, it was a marvel of engineering for its time and remains a prominent symbol of the city. The Vasco da Gama Bridge, the longest in Europe, spans which river? Tagus. The Vasco da Gama Bridge, located in Lisbon, Portugal, spans the Tagus River and is currently the longest bridge in Europe. Opened in 1998, it was named after the Portuguese explorer Vasco da Gama to commemorate the 500th anniversary of his discovery of the sea route to India. Which is the most southerly city to have hosted the Winter Olympics? Nagano. Nagano, Japan, hosted the 18 Winter Olympics in 1998, making it the southernmost city to have ever hosted the Winter Games. Its relatively mild winter climate required extensive artificial snow production for the events. Which European language is spoken by a Lusophone? Portuguese. A Lusophone refers to a person who speaks Portuguese, derived from Lusitania, the ancient Roman name for the region that includes modern Portugal. The term is also used to describe countries and regions where Portuguese is an official language, forming the Lusophone community. The Malabar Coast is found in which country? India. The Malabar Coast is a long and narrow coastline on the southwestern shore of the Indian subcontinent, running along the western Ghats mountain range. It is known for its lush greenery, spice trade history, and significant ports, playing a crucial role in India's maritime trade routes. The motto, Learn and Live, belongs to which university? Open University. The Open University, a public distance learning and research university in the United Kingdom, adopted "Learn and Live" as its motto. This motto reflects its commitment to lifelong learning and accessible education for all. Hippocrates, renowned as the father of Western medicine, was born on which Greek island? Cause. Hippocrates, an ancient Greek physician, is considered one of the most outstanding figures in the history of medicine. He is traditionally revered as the father of Western medicine, and was born on the island of Kos, or Kos, around 460 BC. What term is used to refer to the native inhabitants of Gozo, the second largest island of the Maltese archipelago? Gozitans. Gozo is the second largest island of the Maltese archipelago, situated in the Mediterranean Sea. Its native inhabitants are known as Gozitans, and the island is noted for its distinct culture and serene landscapes. The island of Foulness is located off the coast of which English county? Essex. Foulness Island is an island on the east coast of Essex, England, separated from the mainland by narrow creeks. It is notable for its historical military significance and its unique coastal environment, which is largely marshland. What is the current title held by Joseph Aloysius Ratzinger? Pope Emeritus. Joseph Aloysius Ratzinger served as Pope Benedict XVI from 2005 until his resignation in 2013. Following his resignation, he adopted the title of Pope Emeritus, a unique status in modern Catholic Church history. Which bodily fluid is primarily secreted by the parotid glands? Saliva. The parotid glands are the largest of the salivary glands, located in front of and below the ears. They are responsible for producing a serous, watery, type of saliva, which aids in digestion and lubrication of the oral cavity. A statue of which poet can be found at Hull Paragon Interchange Railway Station? Philip Larkin. Philip Larkin was a prominent 20th-century English poet, librarian, and novelist. His statue at Hull Paragon Interchange honors his significant association with the city of Hull, where he worked as a university librarian for 30 years and produced much of his acclaimed work. What trade name did Bayer give to the analgesic drug diamorphine? Heroin. Diamorphine is a potent opioid analgesic. It was originally synthesized in 1874 and marketed by Bayer Pharmaceuticals under the trade name Heroin from 1898, initially promoted as a non-addictive cough suppressant and painkiller, before its highly addictive nature became widely recognized. Which two former popes were canonized on the 27th of April 2014? John Paul II and John the 23rd. Pope John Paul II and Pope John the 23rd were canonized together on April 27, 2014, in an unprecedented joint ceremony at the Vatican. John Paul II is remembered for his extensive travels and role in the fall of communism, while John the 23rd is celebrated for convening the Second Vatican Council, Vatican II, a pivotal event in modern Catholic history. According to Christian tradition, Saint Non was the mother of which saint? Saint David, Devi Sant. According to Christian tradition, Saint Non was the mother of Saint David, Devi Sant, the patron saint of Wales. Saint David is revered for his asceticism and missionary work in the 6th century, and his feast day, March 1st, is celebrated annually in Wales and by Welsh communities worldwide. In which national park does the annual Green Man Festival take place? Brecon Beacons. The Green Man Festival is an annual independent music and arts festival held in the Brecon Beacons National Park, Wales. This location highlights the intersection of cultural events with significant natural landscapes, promoting both tourism and appreciation for environmental conservation areas. Which city stages the annual Celtic Connections Festival? Glasgow. Celtic Connections is a prominent annual folk, roots, and world music festival held in Glasgow, Scotland. It is one of the largest winter music festivals of its kind, attracting artists and audiences from around the globe, and plays a significant role in promoting Celtic music and culture internationally. If California is the Golden State, what is New York State? The Empire State. New York State is famously known as the Empire State, a moniker believed to reflect its wealth and resources. This nickname is also associated with the iconic Empire State Building in New York City, one of the most recognizable skyscrapers in the world and a symbol of the state's historical prominence. By area, which is the largest landlocked state in the USA? Montana. Montana is the largest landlocked state by area in the United States. It is known for its vast natural beauty, including parts of Yellowstone National Park, and is characterized by its mountainous terrain and plains. What is the full form of the electrical safeguard abbreviated as RCD? Residual current device. An RCD, or residual current device, is a crucial electrical safety component designed to detect and trip when there is an imbalance in the electrical current, indicating a fault or leakage. This rapid action helps prevent severe electric shocks and reduces the risk of electrical fires by quickly cutting off power. In which year did the USSR successfully bring the dogs Belker and Strelka back to Earth from space? 1960. In 1960, the Soviet Union launched Sputnik 5 carrying the dogs Belker and Strelka, along with other animals, into orbit. Their successful return marked a significant milestone in space exploration, proving that living beings could survive spaceflight and re-entry, paving the way for human space missions. Which aborted Apollo mission is famous for the dramatic and safe return of its crew after a critical in-flight emergency? Apollo 13. Apollo 13, launched in April 1970, was a lunar mission that suffered a catastrophic oxygen tank explosion en route to the moon. Through ingenious problem solving by both the crew and ground control, the astronauts were able to safely return to Earth, demonstrating remarkable resilience and teamwork in a crisis. Which Scandinavian astronomer, 1546 to 1601, is renowned for his precise and comprehensive astronomical observations of stellar and planetary positions? Tycho Brahe. Tycho Brahe was a Danish nobleman and astronomer who made groundbreakingly accurate measurements of the positions of stars and planets without the aid of a telescope, before its invention. His meticulous data later proved crucial for Johannes Kepler in formulating his laws of planetary motion, revolutionizing astronomy. What is the traditional and formal form of address when first meeting a reigning monarch, specifically the Queen? Your Majesty. When first meeting a reigning monarch, the traditional and formal form of address is Your Majesty. Subsequently, one may use ma'am, rhyming with ham. This protocol reflects historical traditions of respect and deference towards the sovereign. As Prime Minister, William Lamb, also known as Viscount Melbourne, served and mentored which British monarch? Queen Victoria. Lord Melbourne served as Prime Minister twice during the 1830s and played a crucial role in mentoring the young Queen Victoria upon her accession to the throne in 1837. He provided her with guidance on constitutional matters and statecraft, significantly influencing her early reign. Which historical figure was labeled a manipulative, neurotic, and sexually repressed woman by the BBC? Florence Nightingale. Florence Nightingale, 1820 to 1910, was a pioneering nurse, statistician, and social reformer. She is celebrated as the founder of modern nursing, particularly for her work during the Crimean War. The BBC's characterization refers to a more critical historical re-evaluation, contrasting with her traditional heroic image. Which Greek muse's name translates to delight in dancing? Terpsichore. In Greek mythology, the Muses were goddesses who inspired literature, science, and the arts. Terpsichore is specifically the muse of dance and choral song, with her name reflecting this association. She is often depicted with a lyre, accompanying dancers. Prior to her abduction by Paris, with which prominent ancient Greek city-state was Helen of Troy associated? Sparta, Lacedaemon. Helen of Troy was famously the wife of King Menelaus of Sparta before her abduction by Paris, which traditionally triggered the Trojan War. Sparta, also known as Lacedaemon, was one of the most powerful city-states in ancient Greece, renowned for its military prowess and strict social structure. Which Baltic nation became the 17th member of the Eurozone upon adopting the euro currency? Estonia. Estonia officially adopted the euro as its currency on January 1, 2011, becoming the 17th country to join the Eurozone. This move was a significant step in its economic integration with the European Union, demonstrating its commitment to European economic policies and stability. Which country initiated an application in UK courts for the extradition of Julian Assange? Sweden. Sweden initially sought the extradition of Julian Assange from the UK in 2010 regarding allegations of sexual assault. This triggered a complex legal and diplomatic process, leading to Assange seeking asylum in the Ecuadorian embassy in London for nearly 7 years. In which city was Muammar Gaddafi killed, marking an end to the Libyan civil war? Sirte. Muammar Gaddafi, the longtime leader of Libya, was killed in his hometown of Sirte on October 20, 2011. His death by rebel forces effectively marked the end of the 2011 Libyan civil war and his 42-year rule. Which country has the world's largest Muslim population? Indonesia. Indonesia is home to the largest Muslim population in the world, with over 230 million Muslims. Islam is the predominant religion in Indonesia, profoundly influencing its culture, politics, and society. Complete the Old Testament group of friends: Daniel, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. In the Old Testament book of Daniel, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego are three young men who, along with Daniel, were taken captive to Babylon. They are famous for their refusal to worship King Nebuchadnezzar's golden idol and their miraculous deliverance from the fiery furnace. Who, convicted of war crimes in 1987, was notoriously known as the Butcher of Leon? Nikolaus Klaus Barbie. Klaus Barbie was a Nazi SS officer and Gestapo chief in Leon during World War II, responsible for numerous atrocities. After the war, he escaped to South America but was eventually extradited to France and convicted of crimes against humanity in 1987, serving as a significant figure in post-war justice. Which nation observed Good Friday as a public holiday for the first time in 50 years during a papal visit? Cuba. Cuba reinstated Good Friday as a public holiday in 2012, coinciding with Pope Benedict XVI's visit to the island nation. This historic decision marked a significant step in the evolving relationship between the Cuban government and the Catholic Church, demonstrating increased religious tolerance. Which major Scandinavian retailer controversially removed images of women from the Saudi Arabian edition of its catalogue? IKEA. In 2012, IKEA faced criticism for airbrushing women out of the Saudi Arabian version of its catalogue, an action attributed to cultural sensitivities in the conservative kingdom. This incident sparked a global debate on corporate adaptation to local cultural norms versus upholding universal values and gender representation. Which Christian socialist politician became Chancellor of Austria in 1932? Engelbert Dollfuss. Engelbert Dollfuss served as Chancellor of Austria from 1932 until his assassination in 1934. He established an authoritarian, corporatist regime known as Austrofascism, which was a response to the rising influence of both Nazism and democratic socialism in Austria. Who is best known for discovering the Earth's magnetosphere? James A. Van Allen. James A. Van Allen was an American space scientist who discovered the Van Allen radiation belts and confirmed the existence of Earth's magnetosphere in 1958 using data from Explorer 1, the first successful US satellite. This discovery was crucial for understanding Earth's protective magnetic field. Which moon of Jupiter is roughly 3/4 of the size of Mars? Ganymede. Ganymede is the largest moon of Jupiter and also the largest moon in the solar system. It is even larger than the planet Mercury and is the only moon known to have its own magnetic field. Who was appointed Professor of Drawing at the Royal Academy in December 2011? Tracey Emin. Tracey Emin is a contemporary British artist known for her provocative and autobiographical work across various media. Her appointment as Professor of Drawing at the Royal Academy of Arts in 2011 highlighted her significant influence and recognition in the art world. What type of paint is traditionally mixed with water, honey, and gum arabic? Gouache. Gouache is a type of opaque watercolor paint. It differs from transparent watercolor due to its higher pigment concentration and the addition of agents like chalk or gum arabic, which give it a matte, opaque finish when dry, often preferred for its strong color and coverage. Which mathematician and inventor is credited with conceiving the first automatic digital computer? Charles Babbage. Charles Babbage, an English polymath, is often referred to as the father of the computer for his conceptual design of the difference engine and, more notably, the analytical engine. The analytical engine, conceived in the 1830s, incorporated many features of a modern digital computer, though it was never fully built in his lifetime.